I grew up in the east end of Glasgow, a place called Dalmarnock. It's near Bridgeton Cross. Um, and I lived there. I was basically born there, and I left there at about the age of 22 to go and stay in the West End of Glasgow. Student land, bedsit land and everything. Great times. Getting into the music, got a wee band together. And we used to do our own wee gigs and stuff, and we got picked up and done a bit of travelling about and stuff like that. But that was quite a short history there, wasn't it? But if you want to go back to where I was brought up, that's fine, yeah. A kind of scheme, a kind of small villagey type enclave with 4 high-rise blocks and a lot of wee houses in between and stuff. And, a couple of gang problems and stuff like that, you know, people, real tickets, you know, that used to hang about. There was about a dozen of them called the Baltic Fleet. Don't know if you've heard of them, but they're quite famous, you know. There's actually a band called Las Vegas, and they've got a song called the Baltic Fleet or something like that, because I think they stayed in Dalmarnock for a couple of years, long after I was away, once it was kind of defanged. Once it was kind of cleaned out and then fucking new roofs on the places and get some families in instead of just... Yeah, it was quite interesting place to stay, you know, to grow up. It was great growing up because you were a kid and you could just go out and it was right beside the River Clyde, and we used to go down there and go really close to the river, and a couple of guys even used to make rafts, you know, what you see in the Our Willie comics and all that. They get what, 4 oil drums and all that, and they're on a Clyde, and it's really lethal because all these fucking couple of kids died, you know, just get out and you go, oh, so and so, he's not coming back. I remember fires as well, you know, places used to go on fire, houses used to go on fire, and that would be you, your pal that you went to school with, he's not there the next day, and you know. Because some houses were still slums back then, you know. And people would fall asleep with a fag in their hand and stuff like that. Burn the house down instead. There used to be adverts for that, you know. Don't fall asleep with a fag in your hand and burn the house down. You would think you wouldn't need to be told that on a public information film, wouldn't you? But there you go, that's the 70s for you, baby.
And that doesn't happen too often now, does it?
It doesn't happen too often, no, because you've got fucking fire alarms and all. You had nothing back then. You had flammable fucking furniture, stuff that used to just go up, and you'd be sitting with your shell suit on. You remember the shell? You used to actually put a match to them, and they would go from a big fucking hole, just appear. Flammable clothing, yes, that's what I remember about the 80s.
So quite a happy childhood.
It was, it was, until I got maybe to about 14, and then kind of responsibility started setting in, like consequences for your actions and stuff, you know. And with a lot of kind of tough people being about, and me not being that tough, me just being a sweet guy, you know. And I still am. And I didn't have any social skills at all. I would just annoy the wrong people, and then it all started getting a bit dicey, you know, and I'd have to take a long way round to go and meet my girlfriend and all that kind of thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. I tell you what, you've not really been humiliated until you've been humiliated at the age of 14 by all your peers in front of your new girlfriend. You know, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? That's what they'd maybe leave her alone, but they would start on you, man, and it'd be like, she's like, what's all that about? Is that going to be the way it is, man? You know, it's freaking standing up for yourself, and you're like, oh no. But I see, my dad wasn't there, so I didn't have that kind of, that's my excuse, you know. I just didn't like all that violence, I just didn't know what to do with it, you know. I've always been more cerebral person. maybe a thinker. And I used to read books, really, a lot of books, man. I used to go up the library and it used to be only be able to get 4 as a kid out at a time. And I would just get 4 and 4 days later I'd be back, and read all these mad fairy tales and every Enid Blyton book, I read all the famous 5 ones, and then I discovered their earlier ones, which were all these things about gollywogs and all that. And you don't know what you're doing. You're a kid, you're just reading it. But the thing about the gollywog was, he was always the evil bastard. He was always a real fucking ADHD fucking evil bastard. Sweep out of Sooty and Sweep. Yeah. Well, people look back on Sweep and they go, well, he's ADHD. Right? It's just got fucking breaking things all the time and all that. And same with Zippy out of fucking Rainbow. Evil bastard. You don't get that anymore on children's programmes. You don't get an evil puppet anymore. Like Hartley Hare. He was a cracker, I know. Aye. What? So that's a bit of my childhood. Yeah. And we used to be right into the Muppets, me and my mate. He actually go to these Muppets for America because his sister was there in America. And she used to send them skateboards and everything. Later on it was the skateboards, but she used to send them Muppets, real Muppets, Boom, we used to do Muppet shows and all that on a Saturday night when my parents were out at the pub, leaving us in the house. And we're only, 9, right? But it was cool back then because you get the neighbours kind of listening out for you, that, and they'd come to the door, right, yous, fucking, rap it and all that, kill yourselves in there and all that kind of thing, what's happening in there? It's alright, Mrs. Blah blah. It was all cool, You can't really do that anymore. You're not going to leave a kid in the house these days, even when they're 12 years old, because all the fucking technology alone. And put a horn into a blender or some shit like that, Kids, man, try to open a tin of beans and they end up in the Royal, They're stupid as well, but they don't get any. And it's not their fault, right? But it's not like the way it was when I was a kid, like what I was talking about there. Saturday night, that was the night for all the adults to go to the pub. All the kids would be in the houses alone, with a few of the old women about fucking listening out for it and making sure everything's alright. And it wouldn't be alright sometimes. You'd end up fucking with kids hanging out the windows and all that. My mate used to do that. He used to love Spider-Man and he used to do all these mad death-defying things and break his leg and all that kind of thing, That was he was like a superhero to us. He was like the big stone, and I was like the kind of second one, and I was like the brains, and everybody else was of a lower pecking order. Well, that's the way I remember it in my head, But I used to get a lot of stick for not being able to fight, But my mate, the guy I was talking about, he could always fight everybody, so I was alright because he was my best mate, So I was alright, I was cool, got by. And he ended up being a singer in my first band, because we get into the Doors and Jim Morrison and all that. That was the first thing we really get heavily into when we were actually in a band together, because I invited him into my wee band that I had, And he goes, we need a singer, because everybody hates me singing. I'm a good singer now, but it took me about fucking 40 years, you know what I mean? Everybody used to hate me singing, what the fuck? And I hated myself. We used to listen back on the tapes and go, didn't he sound like that then? No. You go, Paul, it did. Maybe knowing you. See, that's the thing about your voice. If you hear your voice back on a recording, it's always going to sound different. A lot of people say, I don't sound that camp there. Matey day, aye, fuck's sake, yeah. I sound a bit camp sometimes, but I try and kind of nail it down a wee bit, but I can get a bit fucking, a bit expressive sometimes. But it's not actually like that at all. It's just merely because I've been staying up the West End for so long, I've developed a kind of almost middle class kind of way of talking just to get understood. Because I hate that look in people's face when they're like, what the fuck are you saying? Yeah, I hate that. Americans do that a lot. What? It's like they're it's almost like they're looking at something they didn't expect it to start talking. What was that? But see, in Glasgow, I've noticed especially educated kids, because they're kind of trendy these days, and they get into the old style of what Glasgow used to be, because it is quite interesting, you know. So you've got a lot of pubs in the merchant city and all that, they'll be selling Buckfast cocktails and stuff like that, right? And that's cool, that's brilliant. But what people don't realise is it's kind of two-dimensional as like an episode of Rab C. Nesbitt or something like that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's more like, you know that thing Burniston? It's more like that. It's more surreal. It's more kind of, you're in it. Yeah, it's not something you can really, if you hung about with these kind of people for a few years, you'd start joining in and stuff. But it's really a kind of, if you're hanging about with a few people in a corner, sharing a bottle of wine and stuff like that, it's people, some people, there are still places you do that in Glasgow, right? And you can do that. You will be able to get by there, but you've got to kind of listen for a few years and go, right, what the fuck are these cats talking about? And you've got to have a joke now and again to kind of justify your existence there. And then you'll kind of come up a wee bit through and then that's what happened to me. I ended up just, I know everybody in Glasgow now, because I'm out busking, you know, and they like the tunes I play. And they'll ask me for a request, and I go, no, I don't do requests. And they go, what? You know, and then we get by that difficulty. And they, you know, I think people actually admire you just for saying it straight up. What, I mean, you know? And they go, oh, fuck, $5. I go, mate, you couldn't. I tell you what, even if I could play it, I wouldn't, right? You know, I say that to them. Yeah, well, okay, I won't mention any names, right? But there's certain kind of singers that all these guys like, right? And all the buskers will play the songs for them, right? And they will give you a couple of quid. Although I have found as well that there's actually more people that won't give you anything, and they're the ones that will try and. Some people just like to come and stir the pot, right? Okay, it's a control thing, they're not really aware of it, you know. Some people just like to go up and kind of get involved, you know, but I've got this kind of mad fucking Klingon fucking quote shield or something like that around me now, after doing it for 20 years, and I do it in such a way where everything's cool, you know. But once you get past that initial, I don't do requests. I'm like, well, what's the point of you? What you doing here? And I'm like, well, there you are, mate. I'm not really here for you. I'm here to make a and I will play, and you like what I play. Because who do you like? You like Stones, you like, but I'll play. You play a Beatles song? I'll play a Beatles song. I mean, you know, and I like the way you didn't ask for a particular one. I'll play you one that I like to play, and you go, fucking right, and that's your pal for life then, and they don't ask you for a request, you know. I don't get requests anymore usually, but that's the bane of a busker's life, people, right? You don't know what we say about you in the pub later on, you know, when you ask for a Dire Straits song or a Queen song. No, what's the ones that oh, fuck you. Hey, Fleetwood, nothing. I like Fleetwood, man. I just don't know any of them. But then they'll just go, they won't even say Creedence Clearwater Revival, they'll go, Creedence. They'll just come up to you and go, Creedence, in your face. You're like, oh, fuck, you know. and then they start taking a hump because, you know, they think you've dissed them by kind of just going like that, you know, where you're shaking your head at them, you know, what the fuck do you want? I don't come up to you when you're fucking doing your bouncer at the door. I don't come up to you and start ruffling your hair and all that there. You know what I mean? When you're in your job, when you're working in the chippy or something, mate, you know, don't come up to me. I'm working here, I'm doing something. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for everybody, you know. And you know, I'm not just, I don't play for me. You know, I don't play just for me, you know. Play for everybody. I don't find it very exciting to play for me. A lot of people like sit and practice. I never touch the thing. See, when I'm in the house, it sits there. The guitar sits there. And the only time I start playing it is when I want to learn a song, if I want to add something to the set. And then I'll sit in the company of John Lennon or the Beach Boys for a wee while on YouTube and boom, boom. And then I'll try it the next day and I'll develop that into the act. I've now got to the stage where I've got about maybe 60 songs that I can kind of go in between, and that's no bad. And I've got a few of the old ones. I like the old ones, you know, like I've got a version of Baby It's You. It's off the Beatles' first album, I think. It's a cover that they do by a band called the Shirelles, you know. And a lot of people do that. It's a Burt Bacharach song, you know. I like doing things like that. And I've got a few killer versions of Doors songs and stuff like that. I want to start doing gigs, but people always do doing gigs. There's no way to do gigs now. No for my kind of thing. For a start, I don't do requests. It's back to that. In pubs, people hate you when you don't do requests, you know. And the bar staff will go, well, you know, what are you here for? You're here to... No, I'm just I'm here for me. It's no what am I here for, it's what are you here for. You're here for me. If you want the absolute truth, I'm that kind of artist, right? The audience and me are the same thing. I'm not here for the audience isn't here for me. We're all here for each other, and that's when it starts working. And people will get it if they manage to sit through the first half hour of it and start getting a bit used to the guy screaming his head off, and because I'm a bit of a screamer, I do that kind of John Lennon thing, you know, and I can do that. It's I'm getting to be a good singer, and people are telling me now, that's good. I'm not trying to be modest when I say this, but because I did, you have to deflect all these kind of things. You can't start thinking about things like that. I know that from experience, you know, because you don't get any better, and B, you're probably not that good anyway, you know. You start getting an idea, oh, must be good if everybody's telling me I'm good. Well, you know, it's, they just want you to get better, you know. That's what they don't want you just to kind of start resting on their compliments. They're trying to help you. That's what they're trying. That's what your audience is trying to help you when they tell you how fucking brilliant they are. Basically, they're going, please keep doing it, and just keep doing it the same quality. And if it gets better, that's a fucking bonus, mate. I mean, that's a band, you know. That's a communication between, like the Who used to have, or the Stones used to have. And I would say still go, because the Stones are still gone, but my joke about the Stones is, and they'd probably say it themselves, the Stones are their own tribute act now. They'll do different eras for and it'll be a great show, but it's not going to be the same band as it was when Brian Jones was in it, or when a second kind of incarnation in the 70s, which is the utter best Stones, you know. I mean, the best Stones album is Exile on Main Street. If you want to really get into the 70s kind of Keith Richards fucking, and they had the best guitarist in the world at the time, a guy called Mick Taylor, you know. So there you go, kids, get out and buy the fucking Stones. And there you go, you couldn't say it without swearing. Right, aye.
And how did you get into the busking? You said you'd been at for...
Oh, yes. How did I get into the busking? It's how did the busking get into me, mate? Aye, no, and I don't mean that just as a smart aleck changing it around. It was, I was thinking about it'd be great just to go out with my guitar, because my dreams and my band and all that, and the whole fucking structure had fell apart. And so I was actually a cycle courier at the time. This is around about the 90s. And then it got to about 2000, and I was introduced to this guy called Melo. He was quite famous in Glasgow at the time. He was an African guy, right? Of African origin, you know. Not Jamaican kind of thing, but African. I think he came from Spain, but by way of from Africa by way of Spain to here. And he's plonked right in the fucking middle of Glasgow, and he started busking, playing Bob Marley songs and all that. He's actually on a thing that's still on YouTube the now, called The Street. Do you remember a documentary called The Street? He's starring in that, and I wasn't busking at that time, so I dodged that bullet, but I got a pure Louis through done on it, basically. You know, one of the fucking hatchet jobs where they cut it up to, no matter how cool you are, they'll make you look like a fucking idiot, you know. Sorry about the swearing. Can you cut that out?
No, you can swear.
You don't have to, do you? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's Glasgow swearing anyway, so it's over in a minute. It's not that kind of droid swearing where you can understand it, you know. So there you go. Aye. So Melo, and I was playing the bass at the time. I've always been a bass player up to quite recently, and I'm one of the better bass players actually. But there you go. What was I going to say? Aye, so Melo, the black guy, he's out there playing the Sauchiehall Street. He's got his No Woman No Cry on, you know. And I'm going, oh, I wouldn't mind a bit of that, you know. And I used to go up to him and go, you know, I said something really stupid to him. You know, I said something really stupid to him. I goes, you know what, mate? You're good, but I would make you sound even better. That's kind of thing you say when you're not that good and you're stupid, right? And you're young, you know, and you say that kind of thing to each other when you're musicians, you know. And he just kind of goes, ah. But after there was one time he was desperate or something for a bass player, and he goes, right, come on, out in the street. When? Dunno, tomorrow or whatever. Right, okay. Right, you got an amp? Oh, and we had these really primitive amps at the time. Busking amps hadn't been developed at that time. And it was like fucking, it was this thing size of a big shoebox, you know, with a couple of speakers on it, and a couple other things, and it was all wires, and it was all bits of chewing gum and everything, and you'd plug in your bass in, and it would sound like a fucking wasp in a jar, you know. But people used to like the fact that we were out there playing, and we'd be playing Bob Marley songs and all that, right? Because I've always been able to play that, and yeah, so we done each other's heads in for a couple of years, you know. We were very like chalk and cheese, fucking, you know. And he got a bit kind of psychopathic on me and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I can annoy people. Well, when I was younger, I could be a bit annoying, you know. You can probably guess that, can't you? You know, you could probably see that, you know, how that would fit. But aye, done that. Then bumped into a guy that was a bit younger than me. He was a good guitarist and a good singer. We ditched Melo by this time, or he ditched me, we ditched each other. And started doing that and got a wee outfit together. And there's still bits on YouTube where you can see my wee outfit. And we had a brass section and everything. It was quite good. Again, the amps weren't developed. It was almost like the very early days of the Beatles, where the music was much more than the equipment, you know. But people used to like the spectacle, because nobody had done that up to that point, so we were the first ones to kind of really do that. Started picking up a few gigs at weddings and stuff like that, and you know, and then we started acting like rock stars with each other and all that kind of thing, and arguing. And I remember a few gigs we went to, we'd have a big table set out for us, you know, and it'd be like a guy coming in with a white cloth with a wine on it and all that kind of thing, and you'd be, oh, fucking, this is alright, isn't it? This is a good dressing room, you know. And that would be your wedding gigs, that's what you get. But people would hire us because we weren't organised, if you know what I mean. We were the opposite of your normal wedding gig. There's a certain kind of people that wants just a bunch of mad guys like a circus fucking up there fighting with each other and stuff, you know. We would just do it to that kind of edge where it was alright, you know. It was quite interesting, you know. And people still talk to me about that to this day. They go, where's your band? I goes, sacked. I did, in jail. Fuck them, you know. I want that. That's terrible, son. I go, well, come on, mate. How many times you been married? And I go, well, a couple of times. And so do people say, where's so-and-so? And you go, long gone, you know. And they go, I liked her. And I go, aye, well, so did I, till I didn't, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Well, I get her for 10 years, you know, and that's great. First ever band was a band called Syntexis. Syntexis. Yes, I know, I never fucking knew why either, you know, but it was the keyboard player that came up with that, you know. Syntexis, we called ourselves, and he played keyboards, brilliant keyboard player. We were right into Pink Floyd, early Pink Floyd, kind of Sid Barrett stuff. and then we got into the Doors, and then we started doing like keyboard versions of Who songs, you know, and you don't get keyboard versions of Who songs, but we would do that, and then we would do things like that, and we would do these wee gigs, and we all lived in this kind of same scheme basically. So we had a drummer, him, me, I played bass, and we had a drummer, and we used to rehearse in a place called the Dolphin Arts Centre at Brigton Cross, right? And this was what a kind of a community centre, a kind of council sponsored kind of community centre where you can involve kids, because we were kids, we thought we were growing up at 17, but we weren't, we just left school, and we got into this youth opportunities programme thing, and then we got out one of the wee rooms in the place so we could rehearse our fucking mental music, you know, and we used to do versions of Doors songs, and we started writing our own songs, and we had a lot of faith in ourselves, and then that kind of morphed into something else by the time we got into our 20s. A couple of members left, it was me and the singer, and we had a band called The Light, right, get that, The Light, you know. See, I've got a Glasgow accent, it's quite a posh one now, but words like light don't come easy in a Glasgow accent, you know. You have to kind of really, it's how you go, the light, feel like you go, bang in the light, yeah, no, The Light, mate. And we used to, nobody called a band The Light up to that point. We were quite surprised at that, you know. Peter Hook has now got a band called The Light. Peter Hook and The Light, you know, the guy out of Joy Division. And I'm going to get a few grand off him for that, mate, because that's my name. You know, I came up with that, and I've got a record and everything with a name on it, you know. We got an EP printed up, you know. In the days of vinyl, this was the days before CDs even, you know. 1990 it was, we released that, and then we were touting that, trying to get something else happening, trying to get a deal happening. Stone Roses were happening at that time, just totally eclipsing us, right? And all that was happening in Glasgow at that time was stuff like Texas and all that, you know. So it should have been easy for somebody like us to get there, but we didn't have a proper guitarist. We were hampered by not having that we couldn't get the right guitarist, and we had to keep hiring session guys and all that kind of thing. And yeah, and it wasn't that good anyway. I always felt that it wasn't real. It's kind of half baked, you know. We were picked up too soon and manipulated a bit too much. We should have been left to. We were coming out a wee gothy kind of band that we'd been in the 80s, you know, with a keyboard and no guitar and creepy fucking, it sounded like the Monsters, you know. That kind of fucking music, you know. Well, they call it garage music now. We were way ahead of our time, as in that coming back out. It wasn't until the 90s it came back out, but we done it too early. But the biggest band at the time, I remember, for that period in the 80s was Scheme. You heard their band called Scheme? Yeah. Well, they were like legends, you know. They used to play the Barrowlands and everything, you know, at this time. Oh, we were well gel, man. You know, we just hated these bastards out of pure envy, you know, because they were having such a great time. They were living this rock and roll life, and we regarded their music as utter rubbish. It was like, we thought it was like the same. You remember that band Men at Work? That kind of white reggae. White reggae, that's what we used to call it, you know. That kind of fucking white man's reggae, you know. Fucking, they'd put the Jamaican accent on and everything, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Fucking cultural appropriation. I'm joking, by the way. They know that. It's, listen, anybody that knows me knows this is all just it's all the same stream of consciousness, yeah. Let's call it that, yeah.
And how long was that band together for?
That was about 4 years or something. And then the keyboard player who was an artist, a painter as well. And he went down to Devon, just ran away, just couldn't handle it anymore. You know, too much pressure for everything. He's a kind of, like, what do you call it? Well, on the spectrum. We're all on the spectrum at some level, you know. But he was quite one of these guys that we, you know, used to always fucking grow his hair down there, so he's playing his keyboard like that. He loved Ray Manzarek, because that's what Ray Manzarek done in the Doors. That's when Ian was happiest, when he didn't have to look at anybody, talk to anybody, just fucking play away, you know. And he was great. He started off the worst you could imagine, but pure perseverance. He learned all his fucking a bit like that. What do you call it? Well, no autistic, but yeah, what is call it? It's all autism, isn't it? Really, we're all autistic to a point. You just got to accept it and kind of free it within you, and just fucking, you know. Some people have got no choice, but some people have got it to just a level where they can manage it and stuff. And yeah, we've all got something going on, for fuck's sake. I mean, you know. Aye. So he went away down to Devon, and that just kind of broke all that up, and me and the singer just get into this kind of thing, picked up another drummer, and yeah, I just started doing wee gigs in wee rooms like this size, you know, getting 30 of your mates in, charging them £3 each. You're fucking doing alright, you know what I mean? And then you just buy a big bit of weed and everybody smokes in the place, you know. And it was the Captain's Rest in Great Western Road, it used to be called. It's now called something else, something weird, you know. Aye.
And do you have any regrets about that band? Do you think it could have went somewhere?
Oh, aye, yeah. But no regrets, no. I love the memories I've got. No, it's all dead good. It's all like it's what people still don't realise how long it takes a person to grow up, right? I had a great time as a kid, and then it all seemed to kind of start getting, but for the point of being 12 years old, when I kind of remember I felt like stopped being a kid, for the point of 12 years old to 17 is only 5 years, right? And that's almost nothing when you think about it. So you're still a kind of kid, but you don't think you're so, because you're smoking and all that, and you're getting into the pub and everything, but you're still that wee guy that just fucking stopped playing with his fucking bike or whatever, or his, you know. So that's what I'm saying. All the memories I have right up to about 20, maybe up to about 19, are all dead kind of, aye, alright. Yeah, do you know, this is how shallow a person, and maybe I still am, right? But it's just, I think it was more to do with OCD, you know. I started getting it into my head, because I had a great fucking haircut going. I looked like Brian Jones, you know, with the bold kind of blondie looking cut and all that, and right at your eyes and all that. And I started getting this thing in my head where I was going bald, because of the high forehead. So I'm 17 going, oh no, I got bald at 7, that'll be the end of my life, you know. And I kept thinking about this for the next 3 years, and it totally fucking, what a pain in the arse that was, man. I used to go, that didn't totally ruin everything, right? But I'd be in the mirror and I'd be taking ages to come out. Girlfriends, what are you doing in there? You know, I'm just fucking trying to cover up the bald bit, but I can't tell her that. Because you get things into your head, it was like a body dysmorphic thing, yeah? And I've still got no bad hair. It's just a bit thin, you know, but that's alright. I fucking wear hats and all that, you know. I like all that. I've not got a very interesting head, you know. So you do what you can with it, you know what I mean? And yeah, but where were we?
So you were with that band for 4 years?
Aye, that was about
And
4
then
years. And then
that point,
that was when it became The Light. So that's the point where I moved up to the West End, and we got wee trendy connections happening and all that through a drummer who was a bit of a social person. And so he knew people and all that, and we would get people kind of getting his gigs and stuff like that, and getting his PA systems and all that kind of thing. It was good. It was a nice wee scene we had going, and we had about 100 people that used to come and see us and all that. And yeah, then we got picked up by this management team and kind of moulded a bit and kind of, you know, and we weren't ready for that because we were just doing where we kind of mad. And that happened. We got involved in this kind of Glasgow scene, which is not an easy kind of thing to get into. It's quite cliquey, you know, and we weren't of that kind of thing at all. We were just on a mad U2 trip. That's what we were on. We were listening to too much U2. That's what it was. And we kept coming out with this kind of charismatic, almost evangelical kind of rock thing, because we were getting a wee bit onto that, you know, that plane of semi-delusion where because you're a musician, because you think you're quite a nice person, you think you're quite talented and all that, you've got such a bright future ahead of you that you start thinking you're on a mission, you know? You start thinking already, you see the possibilities. And you get into these wee kind of occulty kind of things and stuff like that, and people go, oh, you're in a band, are you? Oh, that's very good, that means you can spread the word. You come, what word? What, your word, you know? I mean, that's we used to also get people coming up to us and going, oh, we'll see, you're going to America soon, aren't you? Aye, blah blah. Well, I tell you what, if we can just slip a few things into your cases and all that, there won't be anything to do with you and all that. It would just be, you know. And I go, no, we'd rather you wouldn't actually. And then it'd be, oh well, we don't want to talk to you then. And the guy was like talking to me all night after that, telling me how he didn't want to talk to me, you know. Well, spiritual matters can be a bit like that. You can get people right, it's like how many musicians have kind of got involved in that kind of, and they're maybe high on something and they're gone for years on this trip where they'll pick up gurus and stuff like that, and people get themselves involved in these groups, you know. And there has been a couple of groups where that's worked great. Yeah, we used to have that. We used to have this guy, my first band that I was talking about, the kind of garage band. We used to have this guy, and he would write all the lyrics, right? And he wasn't in the band. He couldn't play nothing. We used to take the piss right out of him, you know, the way kids do, you know. We used to fling him a guitar and go, "Geez, a tune," and it'd be terrible, you know, like that and everything. And he used to eat it up, man. He used to just, we used to. And we used to do songs like his on stage. We used to go, this is a song by, you know, I won't mention the names and all that because you don't know, but this is a song by, and he'd be sitting there and we'd do it the way he would do it, and everybody's. Because, you know, it was a kind of cult band we had, and I remember that there was a guy that used to run one of the big rehearsal studios, and he said to us, and this is in 1982. This is 1982, when it was the postcard thing in Glasgow and Edwin Collins, Orange Juice and all that. Simple Minds were very big at that time as well. That was Glasgow at that time. Texas hadn't even appeared yet. They wouldn't appear to 1987. People forget that. They weren't an early 80s band. Aye, so that was then.
And then after that band kind of dissolved,
Yeah.
did you predominantly kind of go solo, or what was
No, that's when I started busking in about 2000. Like I said, the band started about maybe 1982 and it ended about 1998 or something. And then about 2000 I started busking. with my erstwhile colleague, Melo. They call him Melo. Not yellow. No, he wasn't frightened of anybody. He was a bit too much the opposite way, actually. He was a go-ahead merchant, you know. Fuck. And I seen racism right up close for the first time as well. As in, you're talking about people just walk past, go, hey, I used to go, ah, fuck. And he could batter them probably, but yeah, you know, there's no end to it. Take one on you, you have to do them on, you know what I mean? And fuck it, you know. And yeah, so I've always been quite awkwardly liberal, and to the point where, you know, people go, well, what's it? It's not to do with you, is it, Paul? It's no your crowd, is it? I go, well, what is my crowd? I don't like people being bullied, you know. I don't like all this. And so the busking, yeah. That's when I started taking quite a lot of drugs, I remember. Because we used to go to the stage where we could go out 5 days a week. The guy I was doing it with was younger than me. So he didn't need to do all that. This is after Melo. It's a few years after, you know, that guy. See, he wasn't into all that. But I used to have to do it to get out of bed, you know. And then I'd have to do it the next day. And I'd get into it. It would work well up to I would have to absolutely crash and go to sleep. And then you couldn't talk to me for the next 3 days. And then I'd be doing it all again. So I'd done that for a few years, and that was very interesting, yeah. That was just a wee kind of period of... And then I just settled into, I don't really do this, you know. And then I came back to it after a wee while. And I was just doing it with a drummer, and me just with my guitar, 6 string, no the bass anymore. And
have you ever had...
And then I started doing it solo, about 4 years ago or something. Just me and this drum machine, bang bang, and I'm doing that just now, you know.
And have you ever had what they would term a conventional job in your life?
Mm-hmm.
In your adult life?
Oh, aye. Yeah, I was a cycle courier. In the 90s, when you used to just have a radio and a bike and just get, you know, and deliver these letters from lawyers and all that kind of thing, and have a great wee time in town. And again, that used to be a drug thing as well. Funny how you turn everything into a drug thing, isn't it, you know? But, you know, if you can keep a job going for about 4 years, and actually enjoy it, most of it, and you see the beauty of life in a wee kind of way when you're out at like 8 in the morning, just on the way. And I used to listen to a lot of Jimi Hendrix at that time, so I'd be playing about an hour of Jimi Hendrix for my breakfast, and you know. And then I just get out and it's like raining, but you've got all your gear on and you're just looking at the sun through the rain and you're seeing it shine like beautiful wee diamonds, and you're going, oh man, you can't buy this. Oh, these schmucks, man, they don't know this. They see me, oh, it's terrible with that poor boy, you know. No, this is the best job in the fucking world, mate. You got your wee radio, you get told to go this, and it's not like that anymore, but the guys have to deliver the pizzas and all that. And I wouldn't want to deliver anything that cooled in, you know. But yeah, hopefully they don't let them cool down too much, but nah, what am I telling? That's probably negative. I don't know nothing about the kids these days, but there used to be about 15 of us, and we used to have we worked for all these different companies. You had the the cyclists, and then next one up you had the motorcyclists, and they were just a bit more mental, right? And then you had the van drivers, who were total psychopaths, you know, like actual, you know, just didn't care about anything, but they would hold it together. But one guy had a heroin fucking thing going on, you know, and he was a van driver, and he's dragging up, and he's vanning on it, kind of thing, just at the bottom of the work and all that, and pals are getting waiting him up, fuck, he's off in the van. I remember one company I was working in, and one of the guys didn't have a license, right? This is a courier on a van, you know, didn't have a license. Waiting for the shoe to drop every day, you know. Fuck's sake. No, great days, but, you know, you'd meet the most interesting people. A bit like working in a kitchen. I've worked in a kitchen and all, you know. But it's all kind of slightly deranged characters in a wee kind of...
And you mentioned drugs. What was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice was amphetamines. Yeah. Ah.
And how deep did you go down that road?
No, that deep. No, that deep. Not as deep as I've seen some people go. I used to look on them with envy. I see this guy turn to a skeleton and go, I wish I had the money to do that to myself, you know. It's funny the way you think, you know. It's a definite way of thinking. I mean, you see Irvin Welsh wrote about it in Trainspotting and stuff, but that's a bit of jump. But it's whatever. It could be, listen, mate, it could be Star Wars figures, right? If you're addicted to something and it'll cause a problem, then, you know, you'll enjoy it. See, I hate talking about all this, because you end up on that AA pattern. It's so, and you can't avoid it. So what the fuck, man? I mean, I've not had a drink for about a year, up until 3 weeks ago, where I had a drink for a week. I drunk myself for a week, right? And I made myself ill. 2 days to recover. Bang, back in the saddle. I'm fine, you know. There's no point in giving yourself a big beat. I mean, that was a year, and I felt brilliant, and I was doing great. I am doing great. A week isn't going to negate that, you know. People give up too easy when they just fall. What are you going for? You watch your kids when it's starting to walk, you know. Everything about a kid's, even before they can even stand, the way they sit, perfect posture and all that. You know, they've got that kind of thing with the string holding them up, you know. There's another thing I'm into health foods and stuff, and certain kind of ways to pare down the way you live, you know. Like postures are one. There's this thing called the Alexander technique. Have you heard of that? Is that microphone still there? Oh, sorry, you'll get that big blah. Right, but there's this thing called the Alexander technique. And it's good that you're getting all this in, because I tell people this, because only when they go, oh, I've got a sore back, and it's the same one, it's either right up here or it's down there, and that's called the lumbar region. There's even a name for it called lumbago, which is connected to your lumbar region. But it's people don't think about the postures. Some people have naturally got it, less and less these days. But with the phones, you see these poor kids like that. I mean, kids want to do that anyway. And then there's that kind of, you know, the spine's got a natural curve to it. You can never get too hung up about having a straight back. Yeah, there's no such thing as a straight. There's no such thing as a back. Right, there's no such thing as a backbone. Your back, your spine. Your back is your whole thing. Your back, the back of you, back of your head, your back. That's your back, right? But your spine is made up of all these wee bones. I can't remember how many. I don't know, I probably didn't know how many, I don't need to know. But the important ones are the ones right up here. See, when it gets right up here, you've got one right at the top, and it's like that, right? And that kind of actually sits right in amongst the muscle that's connected to the back of your brain, which is to do with your kind of posture and all that, right? So you've got to kind of free that a wee bit, and you kind of got to give your body orders. Talk to your body, like you go, and you go head forward and back. That's what I used to get told, or that's what I read. And then I thought it's head forward and up as well, because you kind of imagine you're giving yourself a double chin kind of thing like that, right? And so you go head forward and back, and that's when you get a double chin kind of thing happening. That's you getting close to freeing this bit up here, you know, like that. Sort of do with this down here as well, your core. So it's like when you're sitting on a horse. Okay, so I want you to do that for your homework. I want you all go onto YouTube and look up any horse rider and see the way he sits on the horse. He doesn't sit on the saddle, like, you're not sitting on your bones, you're kind of